Hello, I'm Smoke957 and welcome to Old World Blues, the Fallout Overhaul mod for Hearts of Iron 4. Today I'm going to start a new playthrough and I'll be trying out a new submod, and that is going to be Neu Brandenburg in the Great North. Now, Neu Brandenburg is the old Bismarck that now has its own unique focus tree. So Iron Man off so I can make my saves, average Joe, haven't changed any game settings, and let's go. And here we are, Neu Brandenburg. Now I've done my initial setup and there's a few things I'd like to go through. First of all, on the political side, we have the River League, which gives me more political power gain, more dockyard output, and more caps at the cost of attack and recruitable population. Then we have the League economy, which gives me a nice boost to research, construction, and factory and dockyard output. But this is fixed and I can only remove it if my ruling party becomes the intellectuals. Now, the chief of the army and the military high command choices do affect your game, and I'll explain them in a few minutes. As for research, you only start with 3 slots, but more can be unlocked via the focus tree as you go. There are some useful things that you do get, for example, dynamite and the trained mongrels, as well as the first initial industry techs. And there are some nice surprises in that you start off with barrage balloons and combat blimps, as well as some of the basic naval modules and all of the basic ships. I am going to be focusing on upgrading or unlocking equipment for my templates first before I move on to anything else. Now, as for production, you only start with one arms workshop, which means I'm going to have to make getting more priority. And then as for templates, the one I'm most interested in is the infantry brigade, which is a standard 10 with pure infantry unit, which is pretty good to start off with, but it is something I'll have to get beefed up to use it properly. I really do like this unit model. I'm not sure if it's part of the submod or the vanilla Old World Blues. And then you might notice that I have unit names here. This is not part of the submod, but another mod that I'm trying out called Old World Blues Division name lists. Then for your military, you start out with 4 of these standard infantry units, and you have no army or air force. For some reason, you do get a commanding officer, but no unit leaders. And I can already notice that manpower is going to be a problem, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. And now for the focus tree. Now, the left side of the focus tree here focuses on army development. The center one here needs one of these branches on the left or right to be completed before you can progress past the halfway point. And another thing is you can only start these outer 2 once the bright national spirit has been removed. Now, on the right hand side, we have a branch for naval and aviation tech, and then another one for my industry. Same as for the army on the side, we can progress about halfway down, then we need to finish one of these trees or one of these branches before we can finish it off. The center, as you might have guessed, is the political tree and will shape how you play the game. The elite party is here in purple and is for players that like building an alliance and benefiting from investing in them before you go to war with 4 nations here towards the end. The mod author has told me that this is one of the slowest of the 3 trees, so you can just keep that in mind. The elites here are in blue in the center. This is not the elites, the ruler party is blue here in the center. And this is for the players who would like a more themed experience. It also goes about forming a faction and then going on to war later on in the game. The People Party is here in red and is very focused about standing alone and taking on just about everyone in sight. Now there is an intellectual branch that is hidden at the start of the game, but I'll show you how to unlock it later. And one last thing I just want to point out before we start is that I have noticed that the political branch here has no either or options. So I don't know if this is on purpose or not, but the way I'm seeing it, it is possible to actually change your mind during your playthrough. That's all about that. It's time to get started with Bismarck's descendants. Many wasteland cities have forgotten their people's history, but Bismarck's elders still recall their tale. Our homeland, Deutschland, had fallen apart like many other lands. Our people fled the chaos to this isolated bastion. They brought their families, their culture, and their heritage. Let's get going. Okay. Die große Fluchen. Now I can already see this description is the same as one I read out earlier. So, okay, their heritage as brilliant engineers. This will unlock the Men of Arms focus branch, and fiery military prowess, which is Men of Iron focus branch. Now this is talking about these 2 trees over here. Now this Men of Iron, you can either choose between flamers or normal demolitions. And Men of Answers, you can end up with gauge rifles or sophisticated infantry tech. So I'm going to go for brilliant engineers and then choose the next focus, the Great Nomination. When the US annexed Canada, chaos erupted across the Northern Territories from the hasty military action. In Bismarck, the elected local government collapsed and chaos nearly engulfed the city, if not for the judges. In what would be remembered as the Great Nomination, the judges nominated themselves as the sole legitimate governing body of the new state of Neu Brandenburg. Nice. Okay. Die große Nominierung. No. Great Nomination in English. Okay. While other city governments collapsed during the Canadian annexation. Okay, yes, it's also the same as the previous one. Okay. One case that cemented their role as a sole governing body was the case. Okay, so this is hunting rights. Okay, that's for ruler, elite. I'm going to go for the split and to get some intellectual support. So I'm going to go for overruling the exorbitant entrepreneurship tax. And that leads me to the next focus, which is jury nullification. Recently, the Grand Court has been heavily criticized for the decision of the judges. This was a slow burn, a questionable verdict here, a bailiff sacked there, and even a few corrupted judges pressured to retire. Eventually, the outrage grew too much, and things have quickly spiraled out of control. Okay, a jury nullierung. Okay. As the control grew across what is now Neu Brandenburg, the judges continued to keep the peace for centuries. But within just a few decades, they have lost favor with much of the population, especially the downtrodden of Bismarck. A series of unpopular trials was a tipping point. In particular, the... Oh, okay. Overruling of gun ownership gives me... That's a lot of ability to lose. I only have 34%. Okay. That's 10% for some factories. Okay, I'm going to go for denial of unrestrained immigration. So Bismarck will get an increase in population, and I'll only lose 5% of my base stability. So now I want to move straight on and get the Briots here. I want to get this over and done with. So we have the dissatisfaction of the Grand Court has led to mass protesting in Bismarck, the economic and cultural heart of New Brandenburg. These protests have inevitably become full-blown riots. Our nation must remedy this political turmoil before any plans on reforms or expansions can be made. The Grand Court may be too slow of an entity to deal with the problem on its own. It will need to grant more power to another figure to prevent total anarchy. So the 7-day focus. Okay, the Briots is completed. Rioters, known colloquially as Briots, have brought the heart of New Brandenburg to a halt. Literally surrounded by an angry mob, the Grand Court must choose their actions carefully, lest the country descends into chaos. The River League won't aid either side without reason. Giving Bailiff Sunderman emergency powers will allow him to arrest the most problematic rioters. Von Schulze could easily crush these riots, but can he be trusted? Alternatively, the judges could simply try and wait out the Briots. It's not calm the eye of the storm. Okay, 150 political power. Some military advisors may take advantage during the Briots and influence us. Now, what they're talking about there, it's time for me to explain the military advisors, is the Chancellor is an option for the Chief of your army, and he, apart from his normal boosts, will give some further boosts to the ruler party, but will be removed or not become available if a certain focus is taken. For him, it is purge the supporters, which is this one here. So if you do this, take this focus, he becomes unavailable. Then the bailiff is an option as a military high command advisor, very similar to the Chancellor, where he'll give boosts, apart from normal boosts, he'll also give boosts to the elite party, and also be removed if a specific focus is completed, and for him it is the intimidate rivals, which is over here. Now there are also some other interesting and unique advisors that will come available if certain focuses are taken. For example, we have this commander one here, if you decide to go light special forces instead of power armor, and then some that will only become available if the People Party is in power. Now the key to getting to intellectual focus is actually to take the Chief of the Navy here, and this is what will actually allow you to go down the intellectual focus. I, in the beginning now, is going to take the Chancellor, and you may guess that I'm in favor of going down the ruler party tree. It says here, the Chancellor's influence. Appointing the Ice Chancellor as our Chief of Army Affairs has allowed him to take action against our crisis. Von Schlinder has immediately pushed supporters of the Briots out of the military. With his swift and uncompromising action, however, came question as why the Grand Court fails to do the same. Allowing him to act will most defiantly destroy the Briots, but give him exactly what he wants. He's an ambitious servant. So we get popularity of the people down by 10, elites down by 5, and the ruler party goes up by 10. And my next focus will be empower the Eiskanzler. It's going to cost me 5 stability and 50 political power. Originally known as the Ice General, von Schindler was made into a Brandenburg hero from his genius defense of the solar fields. His men lured the unbound into soft snow, ruining their war machines. The solar worshippers were led into radioactive containers, which distracted some of their more devout followers, sowing enough confusion for a decisive counterattack. Now, the reason I want to finish the part so quickly is because my weekly manpower is going to go down by 20, my surrender limit and war support has gone down drastically, and we get half a point of people support every day. So I want to get rid of that as fast as I can. Okay, empower the Eiskanzler is finished, and I'm going to empower him a little bit more by giving him the improvisation expert, because he starts off with winter specialist, which will give me an extra 10% movement speed for all my troops. And then I want to get logistics wizard as well for minus 10% supply consumption. Now these are two of my favorite traits to actually get for my leaders, especially my commanding officer, because while the unit leader trait on a commanding officer only counts 50%, the terrain traits will still count 100%. So this improvisation expert and the logistics wizard will now affect all the units that actually fall under his command, which I really like. So now my next focus I'm going to do is imprison the rioters. I want to go down this line here and try avoid doing this intimidate rivals, because I would like to take Suleiman later on if I can. So imprison the rioters it is. Von Schlinder proposed a different approach to Sunderman. While the bailiff wanted to avoid escalating the situation, the Chancellor decried the action as naught but indolence. He argued that only defending the Briots in detail will restore faith. Defeating the Briots in detail will restore the faith in the court. After some time, the judges ruled 11 to 10 in favor of Schindler. The popularity of the people goes down by 10%. Alright, so I've imprisoned some rioters. So the next focus I want to do is hunt the leaders. The streets surrounding the court now emptied. The Chancellor did not let the silence continue. He requested permission to hunt down the leaders of the Briots. Judges had little dissent and granted him authority to arrest any he considered problematic. It's another 10% decrease in the popularity of the people, which is allowing the ruler party to increase in popularity. Now I am going to take the Chief of the Navy Advisor to unlock the intellectual focus tree. So we'll get this event here. The League buys in. Allowing the League's director into a government position during the crisis was a grave mistake. Linga has been transporting judges, officials, and other influential figures into secure League facilities. The amount of people who now owe the League their lives has grown astronomically, and it is yet to be seen how the League plans to capitalize on their investment. A troublesome servant. So I'll get naval intelligence experience 0.1 each day, and also a quarter of daily intellectual support as well. But what this does do is actually open up the intellectual, or the beginning of the intellectual focus branch. But getting the intellectual focus branch means you have to make some tough decisions. For example, you must now choose the intermediate and sophisticated vehicle tech over the robotics tech. And I advise you to do this part of the tree as fast as possible before, where is it now? There are some nations. Yes. I advise you to do this as fast as possible before the snowmaids, mad trains, or the unbound get conquered by someone else. Then on the naval and aviation side of the tree, if you wanted to have any type of air force, well then tough, because you're going to have to choose to take sophisticated naval tech to come along here, so which means you'll be stuck with barrage balloons and combat blimps unless you can unlock the aviation tech some other way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chances, and I'm going to stick with the ruler path, and once it's done, I want to see if it's possible to then open up the intellectual branch tree. I want to do it this way, firstly to see if it is possible to change between the paths, and also the mod author has put a lot of effort into this mod, and I want to showcase as much of his creation as possible. So, nothing left to do but to unpause the game and carry on. Alright, we've hunted down the leaders. So now the last step to take, or we'll need more support there I think, is to incriminate the judges. Okay, von Schindler again approaches the court, again with a demand on his lips. He informs the judges that he has discovered that members of the Grand Court are implicated in the bribes. As such, he requests permission to arrest the judges. The judges, of course, debate this accusation that some of them have conspired against themselves. They're fearfully glancing at the soldiers the Chancellor has placed outside the court for their protection. When the whispers are settled, the judges turn to the Chancellor, who is still as ice, and with a smile of frost. Popularity of the people goes down, elites go down, but we lose 5% stability as well. This is the one I chose, so this is the way we have to go. Okay, so I've incriminated the judges, but unfortunately I don't have enough support for the Chancellor yet, so I'm going to give him some more authority. It says here, von Schindler has demanded that the authority of the Chancellorship be enhanced in order to deal with the Briots. The initial rejection of the more cautious judges was silenced by an explosion in the streets. Surely desperate times demand desperate measures. And they'll give me the 10% I think I need to carry on. So the Chancellor has been given more executive authority, and that now means I can do Night of the Icicle. Sounds quite similar to the Night of the Long Knives. So it's a 30-day focus, and then after that, hopefully, the Briots will be over. Ooh, the frozen trial. This looks like a juicy one. The first dawn within the Grand Court without riots is tense, as the Ice Chancellor led his prisoners and loyal guards into the halls. There were fewer judges to greet the Chancellor's gaze, though none attempted to. As the accused took their place, the Chancellor remained standing. He then walked to the judge's bench, attempting to climb into it. Sunderman intercepted him, eyes filled with indignation. The Chancellor ignores his gaze and looked at the judges. I will judge this trial, the coal man bellowed. Such outrageous demand ought to be returned with anger, yet the judges did nothing, eyes remaining still. After a second, a judge left the bench, and one by one they left. Sunderman, eyes slowly mirroring the judges, slowly backed away from the bench, allowing the Chancellor to sit upon it. And there he judged the accused, a king in the court of justice. Hail the Eiskanzler. Nice. Okay, so does that mean, yes, we have a new ruling party, and the Briots are over. So that is Night of the Icicle done. Before I continue down this path here, I want to get this tree done as fast as I can before. Where is it again now? Yes, before any of these three get taken out. So I'm going to start with reinvest in communities. That'll give me a civilian workshop and 50 political power. With the Briots, many people have become disillusioned with Neu Brandenburg's wealthy. Investing back into our communities will help restore trust and comfort with our government. Let's hope it does. Okay, so I've reinvested into the communities. Now I'm hanging on to this political power for just a little bit more. I want to increase my conscription law up to waist end militias so I can start getting some more manpower. And for the exact same reason, I've decided I'm going to go down this left hand side here, because I'll get a lot more population and 6 building slots, which is for me more important than what they are dishing out here, which is radar stations, some power, and two workshops and a naval dockyard. So I'm going to go for excavation projects. Excavation requires resources and tools to be allocated for the site. Diligent planning is needed to complete such projects, of which we have far-reaching goals and rewards. So I'll get sophisticated exploitation tech and 60% bonuses for resource procurement. And we'll see you after the next one. Okay, I finished my excavation projects and I did pick up wasteland militias along the way. The next thing I want to do is change from wasteland economy to well-equipped army, so I can get 10% or spend 10% less on my consumer goods. And then my next focus I want to take, excavation projects gave me sophisticated exploitation tech. Then the next one I'm going to go for is clean the city blocks. Okay. Throughout the Briots, parts of the city have been neglected. Cleaning these areas of both grime and filth will allow the residents to return to normality. So I will get 3 building slots, 3 workshops for Fullet, and I'll get 1 infrastructure in Bismarck. And okay, carry on. Okay, I've cleaned up the city blocks, so now I'm going to jump back across to the next one here, expanding our agriculture. This is mainly so I can get all this lovely extra 4,000 local population. By removing rubble and thick foliage, we can terraform areas to become ideal for farming. Our local communities are sure to benefit from such projects. Just a little 30-day one. And just like that, I've finished expanding my agriculture. So now I'm going to jump back here to Handel's Barn. Okay, the old world roads could use refurbishing. We should commence a grand infrastructure improvement program focusing on winding trade into the smaller neighborhoods. So all 6 of the little cities will get infrastructure, except for Medan that will get, looks like 3 infrastructure. That's right, 60 days, a bit longer, but it's worth it because then I'll be able to get some more resources. Just short of 1 scrap metal right now. Okay, Handel's Barn is finished, but what I want to show first is I have finally finished increasing some basic templates from the original 10 width that I started off with. So I've made the Infantry Corps a 20 width. This is the standard one I like, with 1 fire team and demo in the line. I haven't added any support equipment on yet because I'm still very low on arms workshops, as I'll show you shortly. And then I have researched power armor, and I've also got another 20 with a fire team and demos in it. Also no support equipment. And when I say I am low on arms workshops, I mean it. I only have 5, so just 1 of each. I'm trying to follow the good old-fashioned KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. So this is as basic as I can go. I'm not even manufacturing any transport equipment right now, which is why I'm very happy to be able to do the next focus, which is recycle rubble, because it will give me 6 building slots, as well as some bonuses for entrenchment speed and outpost construction speed. But I really want to turn these 6 building slots into some arms workshops. It says here, we don't need to discard the rubble we dig up from old buildings. We can grind them into dust, creating cement for our armies. Let me start that off, and I'm very close to be able to change my wasted economy to well-equipped army. So hopefully that will be done before the this focus is finished. Okay, so recycled rubble is finished. Now I've held on to this political power just a few more days because I would like to show you the kind of effect it has. So currently I need 3 of my factories for consumer goods. Wasted economy is 30%, but then legal economy, legal and legal lighter are taking 10 away, so that's 20. Now by taking this, I will go from 30 down to 20, and I would hope to show you the effect that that now has on my construction. Okay, yes, brilliant. This has gone down from 3 to 1, so I've just gained 2 extra civilian factories to build more. So this recycle rubble finish. I now want to do the second city, which will give me 3 civilian workshops and some infrastructure in Pig City. While nowhere near as impactful as Bismarck, Pig City has become a significant rural industrial centre. Investing in the enterprises there will benefit our smaller towns and Pig City itself. Another 60 focus, but it's worth it. And now I'm going to build some more arms factories. Alright, I've finished boosting the second city here. So I'm now going to do the last of this little chain here, the Abu Bakr. Despite being just outside the Bakken Shale oil deposit, the solar fields still have untapped reserves. With the right equipment, we can still extract the precious black gold, aka oil. So solar fields get 10 power and another 60% research bonuses for research procurement. So let's start there for 30 days. And also my first military factory has already been constructed in 60 days. Now the way I like to make sure it goes to the right place is I'll see what's in the red, and whatever is the longest gets that factory. So that will be 316 for fighting weaponry, surprisingly more than power armor. So that's where this factory is going to go. Okay, that's the Ausbacken finished. So I now have what I need to move on to fund a public university. Currently, the only way for an individual to learn more from the world is to go abroad, become a member of the historians, or perhaps become indoctrinated by the Brotherhood or Enclave. But what if this wasn't the case? Funding a public university, our people can better themselves without dedicating their lives to a foreign cause, and will get a research slot. So that's 60 days. Then I'll have 2 more left before I can start on the next part of this focus tree. Unfortunately, there's nothing else really interesting for me to show you, so I'll just carry on. So Neu Brandenburg now has a public university, which means I can now go for the next step, which is open experimental garages. This will give me immediate and sophisticated vehicle tech, which is nice. The automobile is a great tool used by many nations around us, but our common population lack the knowledge to build and operate such vehicles. By including mechanical classes within our university, our people will become more knowledgeable of our old world cars. Okay, 60 days. And then it's just this last one that I want to get before, because I know I think the mad trains have really been taken out. And then my research slot I have got now, I'm going to use on going for my doctrine. Now I've decided to go for conventional warfare because I got the 250% bonuses in it, so might as well do this first 4 before I decide what's going on. I was thinking of doing refined warfare, but with my population already as low as it is, the second one would take 10% of that away. So conventional warfare it is. And then I want to spend some army and naval XP on my doctrines, so I'll be going for first crossroads first. So I'll get more army experience game, but also my special forces training time is going to go down by 5%. And for naval doctrine, I'm not sure what kind of ships I'm going for first, so safe munition stowage, just critical hit chance and it goes down, and I'll carry on. So the experimental garages are open, so that has given me both intermediate and sophisticated vehicle tech. Now I'm going to go for found our raw. The River League has shown great interest in our vehicle procurement attempts. They have proposed to obtain schematics and models from the vehicle enthusiasts to our west. However, these nations aren't exactly friends with New Brandenburg. We have a difficult choice to make. Okay, we'll get an event between brake and clutch. We'll see what that is. And then I'll get 10% popularity for the intellectuals. And I will be one step closer to getting the intelligence focus tree later on. So I can show you that. All my arms factories have now been constructed. So my production of equipment is going very nicely. I'm still keeping it nice and simple, and I'm almost up to, I've added 9 units onto my army so far, and once this 10th here is finished, I'll stop this and then just concentrate on the two 20th divisions and upgrade this basic unit as and when I can. So that's that done and that done. I'll see you soon. Okay. Between a brake and a clutch, the River League's offer to trade our resources for vehicles from the west has come with a heavy choice. Our immediate western neighbor has ridden their war machines into solar fields before, becoming another snowy grave by the hand of the Eiskanzler. Trading with them will anger those who have lost loved ones from the unbound. Our choice is a nation that is currently controls, this is Port Pick, I think. That area has gotten very unstable, and our advisors can't say for certain if they will agree to our trade. Either way, we must choose which bad option to bet on. Okay, Shady Defeat has made Unbound humble. Okay, it's 10% war support. Okay, I don't want to lose any war support, so let me go for those folks that pick can't be worse than the Unbound. Here we go. Left in the dust. As we expected, Artyom wanted nothing to do with our trade. Thankfully, the League managed to buy some old equipment from War Entrepreneurial Mechanics. Didn't think they'd like us. Reduced. Okay, so I'll get 2 Renus bonuses for motorized equipment. That's okay. Now, what's happened recently is the Roche King has defeated Volt 37 and is now at war with the Church of the Salo. So I'm very glad to have finished this, because now I'm going to continue on with, let me go for, they're both 60-day focuses. I'm going to go for the Solar Fields Garrison. I will get, okay, Solar Fields were Einkanz's favorite battlefield. The victories he had forged there have made the area now impenetrable to our enemies. No power has so much as scouted the region. With his power secured, von Schindler has called his trusted and loyal men from the Solar Fields to reinforce the New Brandenburgish army. The experience and loyalty with the Chancellor will be of great use to him. Okay, so I will get 2 units, and my popularity will go up by 30%. Okay, and then you may have noticed 2 little portraits here. In between focuses, I have increased my officer training from local leaders up to proficient mercenaries, and I have now hired 2 of them. The one now has the trait, what trait was it now? It was Commando, so I've put him in charge of Panzergruppe A, because that will be so for the only unit that has a power armor in it. And then my unit leader for Panzergruppe D, unfortunately, has the reckless trait. So I was going to give him Mysterious Stranger and Gun Nut, but I thought it might be better to give him awareness, just to bring that chance of getting wounded down a little bit more. Okay, and that is where I'm going to end this episode off. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this episode and any of my others, please consider giving a like and subscribing to my channel if you haven't done so already. But until the next episode, goodbye.